The resource I had was UCubed. I had also had second grade. I didn't quite know where to go at first when I was looking at the website. I clicked on a bunch of different things and couldn't really figure it out. But eventually, I found where to go to find any of the activities. I would say that it has a lot of good activities for a teacher to use. Getting there is definitely the tricky part, so if I were to recommend it to a teacher, I would make sure that I told them where to go to find the activities. There were a lot of activities for all different grade levels, as well as for a bunch of different content. The one thing that I found about this website is they also have this thing called like Week of iMath. It's for inspiration math, and it has just different things for you to go over in a week. So it's got like a day by day plan for you to play like a different game or have like a different lesson each day of the week for different grade levels. The one that I looked at was week 2, and you could go through and see like the different activities that they suggested you do, but you couldn't actually get into any of those to see like the lesson plans unless you registered and made an account. And I didn't check to see if the account cost any money or anything, but you couldn't get to any of that unless you had an account. The one game that I looked at, I guess I'm not a game, the one activity that I looked at was called Pepperoni Pizza. It says that the game is recommended for K through 2, but it's also for multiplication, and I don't really think that you go through multiplication in kindergarten, first, or second grade. I remember learning that in third grade, and I remember helping my third graders learn that as well. The farthest that I believe second grade went was, adding 3-digit numbers. I don't recall them multiplying at all, maybe towards the end. But for this game, you have 2 students, or as many as you want, but each student that you have in the game is rolling 2 dice. So they will roll 1 dice, and the first dice that they roll, whatever number on it, that'll tell them how many pizzas to draw, so they'll just draw circles on their piece of paper, and then they'll they'll roll the dice again, and then they'll, whatever number is on the dice is how many pieces of pepperoni they'll draw on each of those pizzas. So then from there, they have them multiply the 2 numbers together, so multiply that first number and that second number together, and then get the answer, so it helps them with multiplication. I definitely think that would help for the 3rd through 5th graders in that age range who are actually learning multiplication. There's definitely ways that you can modify it to be able to be used in a kindergarten through 3rd grade classroom. But I would definitely say that that's probably an older grade activity. I say that the way you can modify this game would be to have it be just an addition, like a higher level addition. So you could have them roll the dice first, and they would see how many pizzas they would draw again. And then you would have them roll the dice again. So if they had 5 pizzas, they'd roll the dice 5 more times. And the first time they rolled it, they would get that number and put as many pepperonis as that number on 1 pizza. And then they do the same for the second and then the third and so forth. And then they would have to add all of those numbers. So it could it could be having them add up to like 6 numbers at a time, which is a very higher range than what they're used to, because they're usually just doing like they're usually just doing 2 numbers to add like 3 plus 2. They're not adding 6 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10, that kind of stuff. So I think that it would really work out for that. I would say some advantages for this activity are that you can have it set up as a game just for your students to do, so you can have it to where like they are off on their own, kind of just doing it by themselves, while you're maybe helping some other students with some more specified information. So they could be off doing that game instead of being like all around you while you're trying to help specific students. The only disadvantage I would say is you don't actually know if they're really adding all of the numbers for that, because they could just as easily count all of them, especially if you just have it, if you modify it for like the K through 3 grade levels. But for the the 3rd through 5th grade, the multiplying, they could also just kind of do some addition there too to figure it out. But I feel like the 3rd through 5th grade would definitely be easier to do it for, because they would be able to be off on their own and they would be actually having to multiply those numbers out. I think that this game would be a good thing for you to do, kind of a daily thing to actually gain the fluency and to gain the number sense that you need. So like the multiplication part of it, when you need to know those multiplication facts times after time after time, when they were just like drilling them into students, this would be an easier way because they're only going to get the numbers 1 through 6 to multiply. And so like it'll be kind of easier numbers, I guess you can say, because the highest they'll go is like 6 times 6, or that kind of stuff. So that makes it a little easier, but it also builds that fluency from that 1 through 6 numbers. So it'll be easier for them to grasp there. But overall, I think the website was a good website. I definitely would tell the teachers where the information is if I was going to recommend it to them, so they weren't just searching the website for an hour and a half, kind of like I was, although I did find some really neat things as I was searching for it before I actually found where the activities were. But yeah.